All right. Well, welcome everybody. We are going to be covering what do you think about while you lift?
Important topic. Very important topic.
Mindset. So I do weightlifting, not powerlifting, and usually there's a divide between like your mindset depending on whether you're doing powerlifting or weightlifting. Usually most people assume that if you're doing powerlifting, you're going to be very aggressive and angry all the time. For weightlifting,
Sean is very angry all the time.
it's true. For weightlifting, quite the opposite, but I think it's more about your personality. Like even if I was doing powerlifting, I'm just not the type of person to lift angry. That doesn't work well for me. Like I'm very methodical and calculating by nature, so I lift the same way. Very measured approach. So I think it's more about knowing who you are as a person and then applying that to your lifting rather than trying to lift some way that everybody else says, you know, you should lift.
I tend to be a emotional person, even though I don't really do a good job at displaying emotion. Like when when someone PRs or when someone says something that I should be happy about, my happy response is like,
I don't give a fuck.
oh, great job. But that's pretty much my response to everything. Is
Calm down, Sean.
yeah, I'm already getting angry thinking about it. Just getting as focused as I possibly can and getting controlled aggression. I like to think about, and just honestly speaking, I like to think about like negative thoughts. Like to get a little angry when I lift, especially when I'm going for 1 rep maxes. Try to think about things that have brought me a lot of like anger or sadness or just got me generally upset, and I think that kind of puts me in the zone really, really well. I know for powerlifting, it's a common thing to be angry and to lift in a very hyped up position, but I think that sometimes that kind of works against you. I think when people start to show like external signs of motivation, like getting the crowd amped and like getting themselves like super amped by like yelling and by stomping excessively, it's like a situation where people kind of want everyone else to get involved and everyone else to rally behind them. But
That was all like how emotional you are and blah blah blah. We're talking about thinking. So
well, yeah, I think about
thinking.
I think about terrible things. Like I think about things that like have brought me.
Like what are these terrible
Anger.
things? What's your most recent PR? What were you thinking about?
To open up a little bit, I was bullied a lot when I was in school, and I like to think about that actually. I was bullied a lot when I was in high school and middle school. I joke a lot about how I was really, really small when Kaylee and I first met, and I was like 125 to 130 pounds, soaking wet. And obviously that type of weight doesn't favor for yourself when you're in high school. And I like to think a lot about the times where I felt relatively not able to do anything and not able to really express my strength or anything like that, and that tends to get me really, really focused on trying to succeed in powerlifting.
So you're saying we should push you around and steal your lunch
Yeah.
money and that'll equal PRs?
Just withhold my check. Withhold my check. Give it to Caleb.
Mess around with his beard.
And then I'll get to the 500 squat real quick.
So yeah, that was emotion. As far as thinking, I'm pretty sure honestly, I don't really think about a lot outside of cues or things that I'm working on while I'm lifting. I'm pretty good at being able to leave outside of the gym once, you know, I'm on the platform and I'm trying to get down. I mean, I find that I don't have to try to not think about anything. It just, you know, happens. Like I've never been very good at trying to like juggle a whole bunch of things at once, so I usually just like to dial in on one thing at a time. So I find that works very well for me for my lifting, so that when I'm on the platform and I'm getting after it, that if I'm thinking about anything is the only thing on my mind.
Do you guys ever visualize? Or like self-talk?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I'm not a big thinker. When it comes to lifting, let's just say when I'm actually trying to lift, at my heaviest weights. At lighter weights, I'll think through the entire process and I'll like talk myself through each lift as I'm setting up on the bar. But as that weight gets heavier, I'm doing self-talk, I'm doing visualization, and the self-talk is like, yeah, let's do this, and just positive encouragement. Not necessarily expectations of success or failure. I try to avoid any kind of expectations as far as the lift, but I want to keep it positive and I want to keep it fun in my head, and I want to keep it exciting. And if I'm engaged in that level, like I find myself most successful. But as that weight gets heavier, like all thinking stops for the most part, other than the positive talking. And I'll walk up to that bar in front of the snatch. I'll have that positive talk, that fun, and I'll get over the bar and I'll stand there and just try to relax and my mind and tighten my back. That's all I care about. And then set up on the bar and just do a few quick breaths, get even tighter, and then go for the lift. But yeah, I'll visualize as I stand over that bar sometimes. I find that's very successful, making sure that I feel those positions as I come up. And by visualization and seeing myself do it in my head before I actually perform it, it gets me amped and gets ready to do it for real. So yeah.
So, I mean, we all have competed at least once here. Got a bunch of people who've done the same. Do you find that your thinking is different in training than on the competition platform?
Oh yeah, I have a really hard time focusing on training at my heavier lifts. Like there's just so, like working at the gym, owning the gym, it just means that like, you know, every little crack, every little thing out of place is a distraction for me. And so it's hard for me to like focus in on those really heavy weights when I really need to focus in and just quiet my mind, and keep it fun and light. And so at competitions, I find everything is designed to be on that competition platform. Your entire day is structured around being on that platform and being in that mindset. So I find it very easy to make lifts that I couldn't at training. I've opened up with at weights that I haven't hit before, like I haven't hit for a couple months, and I would walk on that platform confident and I knew I was going to hit it. It wasn't a doubt, and that's just because of the different mindset and the positivity that I'm able to have at a competition that in training I have a harder time doing.